I am going to jump into one of my absolutely favorite, not just money saving tip, but just a favorite tip, period. Yes, yes, yes. And I know you're going to thank me for it one day. Hi, this is Jan. Welcome to another episode of the Save Money and More with Jan channel. Just going to jump right into one of my favorite tips. This applies to people that are feeling really pretty good one day, and you happen to be cooking, and you happen to have a leftover chicken, leftover carcass or bones or whatever, and you have to make chicken soup for your family. You're feeling good, you just feel like making chicken soup. Or it could be beef soup, or it could be tomato soup from scratch, or it could be whatever soup you like, using whatever you like. Whatever your favorite go to soup is that you can make a bunch of, here is what people do not customarily think of. Now, they're not thinking of anything wrong on the days they're feeling pretty good, right? Just take it pretty much for granted. A lot of people do. They take feeling good for granted and they proceed with their day, right? But what they don't do is maximize themselves. If you're going to make a big pot of chicken soup, you could use your crock pot. You could use, do the stovetop method that you use, whatever method that you're using. When you make this soup for your family on a regular night, do yourself and maybe perhaps a family member a big favor. Save half of that soup. Plan in advance to do this. Save half of that soup after it cools down completely. Put them in containers. You could either eat individual or just like whatever container you use. Put away and freeze after it's cooled down. Yes, the original, whatever you're going to have that night, have that night. That's your dinner, right? Or lunch or whatever. But whatever is left over, beef barley soup is delicious, split pea. I could go down the whole list. Put it away for when? Literally for days when you are under the weather. There may be days you got the sniffles, you got the body aches, or you're just too darn tired, or you want to stretch a little money to payday. Soup is a great, budget stretcher. But if you have it already in your freezer, it's that much more comforting. But specifically, be sure to have homemade. This works for me. I can't say it works for everybody. I'm just talking about me. Homemade from scratch chicken soup, the old-fashioned way, the grandma recipes. The kind, the traditional way, the good way. Make some chicken soup that when you don't feel good, it's in the freezer. Well, what do you do when it's still in the freezer and you want to use it as needed? You take it down, you heat up a little bit of water with a pinch of salt, not a ton, maybe about a third of whatever the thing is that you're heating it up in, with water and salt. Put that block of frozen soup that you already made a while back. Then you put it low, cover it, and it'll melt down, and you got yourself your heated up soup. I'm telling you, your own manufactured, your own made from scratch chicken soup or whatever your favorite soup is, vegetable soup, when you are not feeling well and you don't feel like slicing and dicing. You'll be grateful for the day that when you felt better and you were slicing and dicing and you have it and it's your own. Listen, don't get me wrong. I have nothing against canned soups. I think they're great. I think they're convenient. I think they could be a budget stretcher. Absolutely. Nothing wrong with that. But for, like for when you want really like good quality scratch soup when you're not well. I have a friend who used to say, oh, if she had like a sore throat, she was probably trying to say her throat was scratchy. So instead of scratchy throat, she would say she had an itchy throat. And I'm like, okay, that's kind of a hard area to scratch if you have an itchy throat. But I just thought it was the cutest thing. So if you ever have a scratchy throat or an itchy throat, whatever you want to call it, nothing fits the bill more than homemade chicken soup. So that's definitely one favorite money saving and just in general, good to know, handy dandy tip to have. The next, mini meatballs. Make your own from scratch mini meatballs. You could do it with even just a half a pound of ground beef or half a pound of ground turkey, whatever you want. Okay. You just make your meatballs as usual, just smaller, just tinier. Flavor them up. Be careful. They cook very quickly. And what are you going to do with them? Again, good old handy dandy freezer. You're going to pack it up in a nice food saving container, put it away. Why? You can toss them mini meatballs into lasagna or on top of your spaghetti sauce, or you can make simple subs with miniature meatballs and that handy dandy shredded mozzarella cheese. Yeah, 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 yeah. There are always going to be those nights. Just get the bread out, take down your meatballs, heat them up in some sauce, put them over some toasted bread. Oh, so good with some shredded mozzarella cheese. Come on now. That is so fast. That is so simple. And you don't need to use a whole pound. Look, there are ways and there are ways, and we have to figure out ways to stretch our grocery budget even further because of the crazy prices that are going on at this moment of time as I record this in September of 2024. Hey, maybe in a few months, hopefully, maybe there'll be a better deal. But while we're on the subject of better deals, always buy your stuff on sale. Always know when to get the best price for the items that your family actually uses. To me, that is always a wise thing to do. And let me see what I have here. Do you like raisin bread? Don't waste it. Never waste raisin bread. If you feel it's going to about to turn, put it right away in the freezer. And you could cut it up into cubes, the raisin cinnamon bread, and that makes for an excellent basis for bread pudding because you got your raisins in there already. You got your cinnamon flavoring in there already. You could always add a little more if you like. Obviously, you could always, doctor it up a little bit, and that's very helpful. The other tip that I want to mention is very, very important in general in life. Cooking oil is expensive, okay? And even the least expensive ones have gone up. So I look for ways and ways to use less and less. I'm not a huge deep frying person. I never do. I just don't. If I use oil, it's sparingly or to shallow fry. I try to eliminate using oil as much as possible or reducing it drastically. For example, and I've mentioned this, and if you're new here, welcome, welcome, welcome. Thanks for being here. But boxed cake mixes, they seem to ask for a ton of oil. A third cup, a quarter cup. To me, it's a lot of oil. All I use is a capful, like the capful of the oil, a capful or two maximum. My cake still turns out totally fine. I do not need to use, I don't know. Maybe other people see a difference. I personally don't. Others swap out applesauce in place of the oil. So you see where I'm going with this? The trick is to not have to use so much darn oil. Also, when I do my Italian sausage, I don't fry them in oil at all whatsoever. I fry them in water. Water, how are you going to get any taste? You'd be shocked. Because as the sausage is cooking, it has lots and lots of natural fats in it, and it renders it out in the cooking process. And the water, what happens is that evaporates, and you got to be careful of it when you're turning it. It will brown your sausage, but add a little more water as you're simmering it, and make thoroughly sure that the inside of your pork sausage is cooked well. I do not use one drop of oil when I'm making Italian sausage. So anyway, I know these tips and tricks will help someone. I'm wishing everyone an amazing, fantastic day. Thank you so much for being here. Really do appreciate everybody's time. If you want to come back for shorter videos than this, 5 minutes or less, go to my No Frills Monday through Friday at midnight. And if you want to hear, another show, just come back after 2:00. 2:00 Eastern for longer form content. Same content, just a little bit longer. Thanks for being here. Don't forget to click like, share, and consider subscribing. Have a great day, everybody.